Mine Explorers, episode 28. Today we're talking about AI straining the grid, nuclear's back, copper's tight, and U.S. permitting's finally moving.
Woo!
Here's what actually matters for explorers, operators, and investors in the next 12 to 24 months. So, today we are trying out a bit of a new format where we're just a little more formal. Doesn't mean we won't have the same, some of the personal anecdotes.
I was going to say, you sound like a news anchor now. This is exciting.
Yeah, we're trying to be a little more informative for the industry and expand our audience a little bit and still be relevant and give people actionable ideas, facts, and things they can do stuff about. So that's where we're at.
Let's try it out.
We're joined again by Mr. Blue. Along the serious line, we have our serious cat today.
Well, I made sure to wear a black shirt so he would join us. So we are successful there.
Cats, they love black stuff. If you want to get a cat to go somewhere, lay down a fresh, clean black t-shirt. And they'll be attracted to it like a black hole. There's just a gravity to that kind of stuff.
Is that true, Blue? Is that your secret?
And this guy, when it comes to cats and shedding, this guy's basically a porcupine. He just spits out his undercoat.
He's had an unusually long shedding season, and it's still not over. Yeah.
So, diving right in.
Back to business.
Quick hits that you'll learn today. How AI data centers are changing metals demand. Very important. Whether nuclear is actually moving the needle and when it may start to, and whether copper mine openings, where they are and where they aren't, and what Fast 41 means in practice. So we had a big episode about Fast 41 previously. We rushed it out as soon as it was announced that mining projects were going to start really being aggressively included in that, because I know they have been historically, but now they were
but now it's
serious.
Mainstream media talking about it. Yes.
Right, so we rushed on an episode about that, and it was one of our best episodes and most interacted with, and we haven't done much of a follow-up. Now there's a lot more projects in the Fast 41 queue across the entire spectrum, from early stage exploration all the way through to some that have been in permitting for over 9 years.
Right.
So we're going to talk about that. Jumping right in, this is signal number one. Power demand is structurally higher.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
A lot of the power producers and utilities, are saying that power demand is starting to mirror what happened in the 1990s. So, what happened in the 1990s? Yeah.
Well, a couple of things.
Yep.
Couple of things that happened in the 90s. So, as a lot of you, as our audience knows, the 90s were a pretty good time. Industry was booming. Factories were booming. Commerce was booming. The economy was just really good. So people had a lot more money to spend on personal electronics, which, as we know, Microsoft, Apple, that was kind of when they were getting on board and selling to the personal computer market. And that put a lot of extra strain on the grid. We see that there was just a steady growth from just using electricity across the board, new houses, new appliances, that kind of thing. And that just put a lot of strain on an aging grid.
Yeah, so I'm popping up the chart here, and you can see that power growth, very consistent from kind of mainstream adoption of electricity all the way up through the 80s and the 90s. And the 90s started out kind of mellow, and then there was a big uptick. And then since the 90s, things have just bumped along for the last 25 years. Really, 2005 was the peak.
Yeah.
And things have just bumped along up and down.
I thought that was kind of interesting that it kind of has just been peaking a little bit. But I think as we talk further, we'll see it's gonna hockey stick here soon.
It's gonna hockey stick up, and we'll talk about the reasons. I think the bumping along, here's my theory. The bumping along was increase in demand with increases in efficiency. So you have efficiency bumping up, dragging it down, and demand increasing. So what you've ended up with is this choppy up and down. So think about during that time period, 2005 to now, we had wide stream adaptation of LED lighting.
Yep.
And for a regular house, it makes a difference. But when you think about a block or a city or industrial
On scale.
buildings and stuff in scale,
Yeah.
suddenly like saving 40 watts per light bulb, once you span that out to millions of light bulbs, you've got major savings.
Didn't the Obama administration do something about that?
Yeah, basically just incandescents have been phased out, and there were incentives to phase them out.
Right.
And then make them more expensive, incentives to phase them out, incentives to adopt LED lighting. And LEDs are safer, they last longer, there's way less electricity. But there's been other efficiencies too, in televisions and appliances and other things. And while most of them are minor on a per unit basis, when you multiply them by cities, states, the entire country, it's huge savings. So that's my personal theory.
That makes sense.
As a totally inexperienced person in power, other than just general understanding of why the bumping around. Because it's increased, demand has increased, but efficiencies have offset it. That's about to end. Why?
Why?
Go ahead. You tell me.
Why is the
bumping along about to end and demand?
Well, I mean, we're seeing it now. I mean, with the amount of power AI is using and data centers being built left and right, I mean, it's just going to go.
So data centers currently account for 8% of power consumption in the United States, down from like 2% a decade ago.
Yeah.
So 8% of all the power in the US is going towards data centers. That's projected by the end of this decade to increase to 12%. So we're going to see a 4% increase. So during the 90s...
In the next 5 years,
in the next 5 years.
Wow.
We'll see a 4% increase just from data centers.
Ooh.
So if you think about it...
Not everything else.
The 90s boomed, and there were blackouts, and the grid lacked capacity, and there were all these issues in the 90s. That was 2% year-over-year growth. Now we're looking at 1% year-over-year growth, approximately 1 and some change, just for AI data centers, or data centers in general, most of them AI-driven. We're looking at, just specifically with data centers, we're looking at Facebook has announced that they are building a gigawatt data center, and they're building another gigawatt data center that they plan on scaling to 5 gigawatts and maybe beyond. And that second data center is going to be the size of Manhattan. That's just Facebook. That's just Meta.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
The size of Manhattan? Where are they going to put it?
That's a conversation for another day. There's a lot of interesting intricacies of where you put a data center.
Oh my
But
word.
I think the first one's going in Tennessee. The smaller one.
It's a lot of land.
That's still going to be a gigawatt.
Yeah. And that's only to power
A data center.
a data
single
center.
data center.
One data center.
Yeah. And all the companies are looking at it. So
That's wild.
this segues really nice into signal number 2, nuclear momentum and the uranium narrative. So
Yes.
data centers are driving electrical demand. Mm-hmm. So are electric vehicles. Mm-hmm. So are personal electronics always. My new computer that I just had built, custom built computer, 1,600 watts of power just for the computer at max draw.
1,600 watts. That could power like a tiny little house.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Or like what, 2 microwaves?
Yeah, 2 microwaves just running concurrently.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Dang.
it's not a microwave where you turn it on once a day. We run our microwave once a week.
Maybe.
Right.
Right.
And this is
It's
something that's always running.
constant.
It's not always running at full capacity, but
Yeah.
like I've been playing a game on it that's high draw, a new modern game. I've got all the fancy graphics turned on.
Of course you do.
And I've just had it paused in the background for like 2 days now. So it's running it close to capacity for no reason. So you imagine that scales and more people do that, more and more people using AI, computers, all this stuff. Computers using a lot more draw. It's really ticking up.
Oh yeah.
So what do? Renewables don't have the base load capacity to handle that. Natural gas is an option, but still not really a green base load source. That's where nuclear comes in. So there's a public market nuke fever where tech companies are really interested in nuclear power.
Is that the term nuke fever?
Yeah, nuke fever. So, not to be mistaken with the nuke fever of the 1950s and on. So, Meta just made a 20-year deal with Constellation Energy to keep their Illinois nuclear power plant running and continue to keep it running. So, Meta signed a deal with a nuclear power producer, 20-year agreement, because they want to secure power now.
Right.
They know it's an issue.
Absolutely.
I read an article the other day that said the one thing in the inner circles of Silicon Valley, the thing that's keeping everyone up at night is power and power grid reliability.
What about water?
Because water is way less of a concern than power right now.
Interesting.
Because they're getting more efficient and they're finding other ways to cool data centers. So water's less of an issue.
Okay.
It's still an issue, but there are alternative ways to cool data centers. There are not alternative ways to power data centers other than just plugging them into the grid.
Right.
There's ideas and different things, SMRs, small modular reactors, all that. But all that plays into what I'm talking about. So Microsoft is reopening 3 Mile Island. Yes, the 3 Mile Island. They're reopening that nuclear power facility to power one of their AI data centers.
Interesting.
Yep.
Very interesting.
There's other big deals going on. These are just the early ones, and they'll continue to go. The amount of energy that's going to be needed. So we're looking at an 8% to 12% growth just in 5 years. Over the decade following that, you could see that 12% creep up to 20% or 25%.
Oh, for sure.
All just going to data centers. Because everything, all of this manual labor and manual input and all these jobs and everything that are going to get sucked up by AI all turn into just power demand. Because now instead of paying someone to sit down and do the work and they use the money to buy food and things like that to power them to do the work, now it's all just raw.
Now it's just raw power
demand.
and energy.
So nuclear is going to shine again and really come in and take center stage. And it's the only real viable opportunity these big tech companies see.
Right.
And so they're going to be dumping a lot of money into it.
I mean, it makes complete sense because a nuclear plant can, for one, it's a smaller footprint than solar, wind. Hydro is, you need to control the rivers for that. And it just, makes sense. And it can be done a lot safer now, too.
Incredibly safe. These new plants, if you just walk away from them, everyone just leaves the control room and walks away. Mm-hmm. They safely shut down. They're contained. There's no issues. Yeah, and they've been safe for a long time. Like I've talked about before, like with the meltdown with Chernobyl and all that.
Yeah.
They were running safety tests and doing things way outside of normal operating parameters. And, that's the last major thing. We have Fukushima, which, there's all sorts of natural things with that, but largely cleaned up now, not nearly the disaster that it was anticipated to be. And then we look at like modern times and modern designs now, we're 20 years ahead of a lot of those older designs, 40, 50 years ahead. They're much safer, much more understood. The science is a lot more advanced. So bottom line, with the power demand and the nuclear momentum, if you're exploring in uranium or servicing nuclear adjacent infrastructure, all those timelines get a lot more investable.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if Google and Facebook and Oracle on these like big data center people, if they get into the mining sector. Because if they want their materials, we need raw materials for all of these things. Those groups, those big giant companies with billions and billions of dollars in funding, those are the kind of companies that could actually make huge changes in the mining reform.
So they can. And I think that's worth mentioning when we get into copper here in a minute. When it comes to nuclear and uranium, plentiful, easy mine deposits,
Right.
ready milling capacity, just pricing hasn't supported it.
Right.
So there's a whole industry ready to go without any extra involvement.
Oh, that's a
from
light
tech.
switch. Right.
Yeah, it's not like rare earths,
No, or
where like Apple's taking a direct stake in direct investment in NP materials
Yeah.
to get magnets and things like that. So rare earths, copper, things like that, yes, there will be potentially direct involvement from the tech companies, just like the automobile companies have quietly been looking at mineral deposits and looking at making investments and stuff, mostly non-publicly, which we've seen directly with some of the bigger ones.
yeah, we have.
Talk directly to some of these huge conglomerates that are looking at securing their own supply chains. But for uranium specifically, that's a light switch. It's ready to go. We just need the pricing to support it. And then there's plenty of investors that'll go back in the segment. But if you look again at the chart and what's happened, nuclear energy came in and saved the day in the 80s and 90s. And then since then, hasn't really been needed as much because it's been replaced by natural gas, which is a shame because we invested in a lot of great nuclear infrastructure that got decommissioned early or taken offline. And then there's Europe, which is a whole nother story.
Yeah, we won't get into Europe.
So, signal number 3, which you foreshadowed nicely, copper's the choke point. Data centers, power for data centers.
Electric cars,
Yep, all the AI infrastructure,
All the AI.
electric cars, copper,
cell phones, computers. I mean, everything.
copper.
It'd probably be faster to make a list of what doesn't have copper in it.
Blue.
Maybe. I mean, shoot, for a minute I had copper in me.
Yeah. Oh, and it's huge for the health industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, copper is used in a lot of things, and copper, but primarily electrification. That's the big one, and that's a huge driver. So recently there were tariffs put on copper, huge tariffs.
Huge. What was huge?
50%?
50%. Yeah, geez.
50% tariffs put on copper. So who does that affect? That affects South America primarily. That affects China. China, big copper producer, bigger copper consumer, so not as much. But if you look to like Chile, Argentina, huge copper production and copper refining capacity. So those 50% tariffs are a big deal. What it's done to the market, up, down, sideways, nothing really significant. But it could have big implications. Like a lot of the tariff stuff, a lot of people are like, is this permanent? Is it temporary? Is it saber rattling? Nobody knows, because largely the tariffs so far have just been used as a negotiating tool.
Right.
Let's beat you over the head and drag you to the negotiating table. Crude, but so far it seemed to work out in a lot of cases. For copper, we're going to need all the copper we can get. And if you tariff copper too much and domestic supply doesn't come online fast enough, because forget about domestic mining, we don't have the refining capacity.
No, not at all.
So forget about the mining supply. We need to build that whole infrastructure, and it's coming. But even with Fast 41 and all that, which we'll get to in a minute, it's still going to take a while to come online. And so once the tariffs start inhibiting economic growth, especially with the copper, you'll see that stuff lift and clear up, at least with friendly allies.
Right. I
So-
mean, I can't even imagine what the process would be for putting in a full smelter for copper. I mean, that would take so long.
Yep.
You'd have to start now and you might get done in 20 years.
Yeah, because it needs infrastructure. So
Yes.
So a great case study for like global realism on bringing copper online. We talked about Chile. Argentina has tons of ore, some of the biggest copper deposits in the entire world, but they don't have the roads or the power or the
Right.
infrastructure to actually develop all this. And so once again, it's the same thing we have in the United States. We have the roads and the power questionable based on what we just talked about. But we have to have that smelting and refining infrastructure and all that. So, so the realism is the copper shortage is coming. It's not a joke. Supply is getting harder to mine. It's lower grade. It's in further flung infrastructure areas. Like a lot of people are seriously looking at the DRC for copper now. It's not just making cobalt, gold, and child labor. Now they're manufacturing copper or attempting to. And there's some big mines there and big investment. So we're looking at further flung, lower grade, big deposits. But even all those things is still not going to take care of this issue, because Bloomberg projects that we need approximately 2 million tons of finished copper, which is add a few zeros behind that when you go all the way out to the ore, by 2030 just for data center build out. Forget everything else. 2 million tons a year finished copper product just for data centers by 2030.
Wow.
That's an enormous amount of
What do
copper.
we currently mine globally? Do you have that?
Not off the top of my head, but I'll put it up right here.
I'm curious.
Because of editing, which is fantastic. That's the number.
Huh.
And so 2 million tons a year is a significant chunk of that.
Oh my goodness.
That's cables, wires, magnets, all that stuff, the grid directly to the data centers, but not the grid in general, which needs upgrades everywhere right now.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we see blackouts, we have all these issues, it's starting fires.
Yep.
It's just inadequate. We've talked about like electric vehicle adoption, even though it's slowed, it still adds significantly to the grid, because maybe your EV only takes 1,000 watts of power to charge. Maybe it's low draw, you charge slowly, you don't drive it a lot, but 1,000 watts in 1,000 households, now you've got a megawatt.
It all adds up.
You've got a megawatt of power just in 1,000 households. You have 10,000 households, you've got 10 megawatts of power, on and on and on. And that's on the low end. A lot of these things take a lot more juice than that to charge. But data centers, driving copper, there's a lot of choke points. It's not a problem that can be solved quickly. There's investment moving into the sector, but mining has been so underinvested in for so many decades that it's too little too late. So we need way more. And we're not talking about, there's no lack of capital out there. We're talking about like, if we rotate 2% of investment in tech and rotate that into mining, it'll solve all of tech's problems with raw materials, power, all that stuff.
It's just the timeline.
Minimal amounts.
It's the timeline that's really hard.
Yep. Because you can do a lot about that, but you can't fix it all. As we saw in 2020, the supply chains break down. There's suddenly a huge amount of demand for specialty things.
Yeah.
It gets way out. Like nuclear reactors, there's only so many they can build.
And it's amazing that supply chains are so fragile. Like we think we have it under control, but if one thing breaks, it can break an entire supply chain.
Well, it's like the mine we talked about in North Carolina that got hit by the hurricane.
Yeah.
It didn't end up being a big deal, but it could have, because that's the one location that produces this one specific thing that's used to make all the
highest
microchips
purity
in the world.
silica in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, for these high, I bet your computer has some of that material in it.
Absolutely, a lot of it.
Yeah.
I mean, my graphics card is this big.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
what?
It's the size of like a loaf of bread. Yeah, I mean, it's 800 watts of power.
That's insane.
That's just my graphics card.
And that's one personal computer.
Yeah. Because I'm using it to edit these videos, use AI, upscaling. So like when we shoot our video interviews and we have a guest on a computer and we do a video call like we did with JP and with David.
Yeah.
And we'll hopefully be doing a lot more of those soon, because we're going to start really getting guests in that can talk about a lot of this stuff. I upscale all those videos to 4K.
Right.
And in some cases I've got, as low as 720p, and I'm upgrading to 4K, which is like 12 times the size. And I'm using AI to do all that, and I'm running it on my computer, which uses a lot of juice. And that's for our little podcast. I mean, we're using a lot of juice across the board, and it's a small thing. So you scale it to like ChatGPT 5 came out yesterday, and now there's agent mode where ChatGPT 5 can open up a new little agent that has its own computer that does your stuff for you. And it spends, instead of spending like 5 seconds on a prompt, it'll spend like 30 minutes doing research. I had it do a task the other day it spent 37 minutes on. And that whole time it's using at least 1,000 watts of power.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
So we need a lot of copper.
We need a lot of things.
It starts with permitting reform and fast tracking permitting. So segment number 4, permitting and policy that actually shorten development timelines. And this part is on you.
It's so intimidating when you do that.
Yeah, but you're ready this time. It's when I do it when you're not ready.
Well,
I just throw it at you, and I'm like, hey, take this on.
So fun. So
I
fun.
mean, Blue ought to help.
He
Blue, did you
really
do your
should.
research?
Yeah.
He won't look at me. He never makes eye contact with me.
Well, you got to earn his trust.
Yeah.
He's a funny cat. Yeah, well, Fast 41 is interesting. So when we talked about it before, I didn't really know what it was. I had this idea that it was like government appointed projects, like the government decided like, oh, this looks like a good one, so we're going to fast track it. But that is completely wrong. So what Fast 41 is its company appointed. You have to be sponsored. And it must be a large scale infrastructure project with a total investment expected to exceed $200 million. So they have to be big projects. We're not going after the little ones. We're going after big projects.
And $200 million in mining.
It goes a lot.
I mean, there are aggregate quarries that we're working on.
Yeah.
That will exceed $200 million in net present value and total revenue pretty easily.
Right.
Yeah, because 1 million tons a year of rock at $10 a ton is $10 million a year in revenue. And then if that mine runs for 50 years, I mean, you're there almost already. I mean, you're $100 million. And that's 10 years, $100 million. So 50 years, yeah, you're over that 200 million.
Yeah.
So
a lot of mine,
and that's an aggregate mine, but there's some aggregate mines out there that do 10 million tons a year.
Yeah. Yep. So they need to exceed that 200 million. It requires federal approval from at least 2 agencies, which again, that's really easy in mining. I mean, I think mining, you need like 3 or 4 different agencies at least. Yeah. And the sponsor must pay a fee. And I thought this part was interesting because I didn't realize that the sponsor must pay a fee of 0.5% of the total project cost. And this covers the FPISC, which means the Federal Permitting Improvement Steering Council. So think of it as you're paying this 0.5%. It's your project manager that helps get your permit through all of the government bureaucracy.
So I wonder if is that a 0.5% of like your estimated capital expenditure?
You know, that I don't know. We could go on another tangent on
because that would be interesting to see what that means. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that could be, I'm sure it's not a percent of your total what you estimate the economic impact to be, because it could be a massive number. But
total project cost. So that just might be.
So, but it could be pretty big. So
sure.
On $1 billion project, which is pretty typical for mining, especially in copper. Mm-hmm. They almost all exceed that. $1 billion project, you're looking at.
Are you gonna fall off?
10% of $1 billion is 100 million. 1% of $1 billion is 10 million. So you'd be looking at $5 million to expedite.
To get on the Fast 41 list.
But if you've got $1 billion in capital that you're waiting to deploy into a project, that's a small price to pay to not have to wait 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, so the average is about, it's 25% faster getting onto this fast track.
Interesting.
Yep. It is interesting.
So what else did you learn about it that we might not know?
Oh, a few things. So paying your fee that covers this federal permitting council, they act as your PM for the project, but they have absolutely no say in your project.
So they're a project manager specifically on the permitting side.
Specifically on the permitting side. So they'll help
Okay.
you like walk your permit through and, go through all the steps. Because as you know, doing these big EISs and POs and all those fun mining acronyms, like you're talking to so many different government agencies, and it's probably really nice to have somebody to like work with all of them.
Oh, just somebody to answer a call, because
Yeah.
like I looked at the Fast 41 dashboard, which we'll put up here, show you kind of the Fast 41 dashboard. As you can see, there's all the projects on there. The yellow dots are, some of them are mining. The other ones are DOT projects primarily, but the mining ones. And then if you click on these dots, it shows you the whole dashboard, where they're at and everything. And you can see on some of them, like Resolution here, it's been in the permitting process for over 9 years. So having a government appointed person that has to pick up your phone calls and give you a status update is probably worth every penny of whatever they pay for that.
I would, man, it'd be awesome if it was like one person. That would be the best.
They did all permitting?
Yeah, the PM is like my analogy for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's cool because I didn't realize that also with the Fast 41, it's all infrastructure projects. So it's not just catered towards mining.
No, it's an infrastructure.
It's catered towards all kinds of different things, like anything that's capital intensive that, promotes infrastructure. So
Yeah.
mining is a great one.
Bridges, agriculture,
water, all that.
Yeah. Yeah, but there are a lot of mining ones popping up on here.
Yeah.
And it's continuing to grow.
It is continuing to grow.
There's a lot more talk about critical minerals now, and seems like we're getting momentum across the board. And I have my theories. So, and I've said this before on the show, I think we're seeing a shift between very negative sentiment towards mining to now much more neutral sentiment towards mining, because the same guys who need all these minerals and all this power are the same guys who control a lot of the media and control the narrative.
Funny how that works.
And so they're shifting towards like, well, actually, because like
maybe it's not so bad after all.
it's in Meta's best interest for you to feel good about nuclear energy when they spend billions of dollars making these 20-year deals and stuff.
I'm not on Facebook anymore, but it will be interesting to see how the ads change towards some, like, are they gonna, so like, they kind of curtail some things, some topics.
Oh, they have a lot
kind
of control over what you see in
right.
Yeah.
So like, are they gonna do that with some of like these environmental groups that are attacking mining? Are they just gonna like kind of hush those?
Instead of giving them
instead
an
of then being like,
amplification.
oh no, like you should attack them, but just like maybe.
So you can get into conspiracy theory territory here.
Oh, easily.
But I think without doing that, if you look at Zuckerberg has had to go talk to Congress because of their known ability to amplify some stories and suppress others. That's not a conspiracy anymore. There have been hearings about it. Everybody knows that's true.
Right.
So yes, to your point, I think you will see more of that. Not officially, but a subtle,
maybe just
we're going to tweak this a little bit. We're going to tweak this a little bit. Yeah, because they're have a very vested interest. The very future, because this is an international AI race. This isn't like, hey, we need a strategic advantage for our company to go forward. The companies, the tech companies, and most companies really, all companies that don't embrace AI are going to go extinct. But
President
for the tech
Trump
companies,
just put out a video in a press release like yesterday saying that we are in an AI race and America will win.
right,
Which is interesting because you've told me that the government doesn't use AI.
they don't. A lot of departments are not allowed to.
Right.
And for various reasons, right? There's all the security reasons. The government has a lot of, you can use this, you can't use that. Like a good example is the military doesn't use Chinese drones.
Right.
So they have to use US drones, which are largely inferior.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so with AI, yes, the government departments themselves don't use AI, and if they did, they'd be a lot more efficient. But they don't care about efficiency anyway, or accuracy. But
National security.
China has an inherent advantage in the AI race because there's no roadblocks, there's no reasons to not to do. They're largely unconcerned with IP and trademark and playing nice, and so
they're in a different race.
So it's definitely an arms race, but the survival of these tech companies is tied to them being able to secure power and minerals to build massive AI centers as quickly as possible. So whatever they can do to grease those tracks and make it happen, they will do. And that's why I think we're seeing the shifting narrative. And there's just kind of a trend back towards common sense in general. We're seeing that shift back towards common sense and recognizing that everything is made from mined materials is a basic thing. It's basic common sense. I think people are starting to understand that. We lived in a bubble of everything can be a circular economy and you can recycle everything to make something else, and all of your power can come from solar panels on the roof of your house, and you can run your car on water. And we lived in this kind of futuristic bubble for a minute, and now we're coming back to reality. Like, yes, we need industry, we need mining. Yes, we can do it cleaner, and there's a lot of good things that have come out of it because safety is better than it's ever been. Mines are cleaner than they've ever been. The standards are higher than they've ever been. So good things have come out of it, but now there's the reality, like, we need 10 times more copper mines than we have now.
Right.
To build what we're building just in the United States.
Right. And we can no longer accept the federal pace.
Right.
If we want to actually achieve this, we have to get on a much quicker timeline.
So that's where Fast 41 comes in, and it's appearing to work. I love on the dashboard that they have a deadline. We will do this by this date. We will do this by this date. So whatever stage they're in, it says what the next date is, the next due date and the hurdle.
That's great accountability.
Yep, and whether they're hitting them or not, that's probably research and something we can discuss in another episode.
I'm sure there's lots of companies who have beef.
With my new official journalism voice.
Yes.
I want to touch on just for a minute that I love industrial minerals and construction aggregates.
Pozzolan is growing near and dear to your heart, I see.
Yes, I've done a lot in pozzolans, and I'll be talking about that. New goal for the next year. Every conference I attend, I'm going to submit it where feasible. Sometimes I sign up late or whatever. I'm going to submit an abstract to speak more at conferences and get more involved in things.
That's great.
Yeah, I kind of sat back on my haunches. For the last 10 years, I've honestly only gone to speak at things that somebody's asked me to. I haven't actively thrown my ring in the hat. I've waited till somebody asked me to speak. I'm actually going to start.
Maybe you'll throw your hat in the ring next time too.
Yep. What did I say?
Say ring in the hat.
The ring in the hat. Yeah, a little ring toss. Throw my hat in the ring. And maybe that's why I haven't been speaking at these things. Anyway, so I've submitted abstracts to 7 different conferences in the next 9 months.
Well, speaking of conferences, that's a great segue because we used to have trade show season was in the beginning of the year, but now it's just going throughout. So we do have a couple of shows coming up.
Yeah, so anybody in construction aggregates, we have Ag Nexus next month in Austin, Texas. It is an invitation-only show. We want the best and the brightest, people who are producers with an interest in technology or want to deploy new technologies is our primary audience. But if you're a vendor who has an interesting technology for the construction aggregate space, get a hold of us. We can put you in touch with the conference.
See if it's a good fit.
Organizers and see if it's a good fit and see if you get approved. Everybody's got to go through an approval process, attendees and vendors. So if you get an invite and you make it, definitely go because it's worth it and it is curated.
And Burgex will be there, so it'll be fun.
And also next month, I'm speaking at the Rocky Mountain Mining Summit.
Summit, yes, it's a summit.
The Rocky Mountain Mining Summit in beautiful Rock Springs, Wyoming.
It's their first one.
Yeah, so it brings in a different audience. Wyoming is the #1 mineral producing state in the country, and they are quiet operators, and that's how it's been. But there's some new and exciting mineral exploration projects in Wyoming. Jade, of course, which we're always excited about with Jade Leader. Gold with there's some gold companies doing some really exciting projects in Wyoming. And then rare earths, which is the big one. So American Rare Earths is big up there. They've got some big projects. There's some other rare earth projects, and there's some rare earth coal projects that are really looking interesting too, which is a great segue because later this year, in October, I will be going to Pittsburgh and speaking at the America's Coal Revolution show, where I'm giving a keynote on the future of rare earths production from coal, which I think I'll have a really interesting angle on because I've been very skeptical about it and very pessimistic about it. But with all the things I'm seeing in rare earths now, the subsidies, the direct tech investment, the supply chain looking like it's actually going to get built out to process some of these things, I've changed my tone a little bit on the ability to produce rare earths from coal. So I'm actually giving a keynote on that and kind of my journey and changing the tone, and then the state of all the projects that are going on and kind of a snapshot of who, where, what, why, and I think some of those people may actually be there too. So it'll be
Cool.
Good conversation. And then, of course, once we rotate through the year, we're going to have AME, Roundup, PDAC, the SME Mine Exchange, and tentatively I'm thinking about flying to London with Amanda in December to go to the Mines and Money and Resourcing Tomorrow Summit at the Business Design Center
This year.
this year.
Wow.
Maybe.
Wow.
Thinking about it.
And I am going to the Nevada Mining Association in Tahoe early September for their, it's the first time I'm attending, but I think it's their annual show. That should be a
Fantastic.
good opportunity.
Yeah. So it's all good. Yeah, and we're excited and back to the I kind of got sidetracked with the conferences. Back to the construction aggregates and the industrial minerals. A lot of that will be driven by this increase too. So it's not limited to rare earths and copper and silver and the things that they need to build out all these AI centers and the tech boom, uranium for the power. All of those things require cement and rock and sand.
Good old construction aggregates.
Yep. And along those lines, the industrial minerals. Cement needs pozzolans. It needs gypsum.
Needs lime.
Needs lime.
Needs
Yep.
all that.
So we've got an interesting things ahead, and this AI, the metals markets were heading for a bull market already, a multi-year, 10, 20-year bull market in commodities.
Mm-hmm.
And you throw the AI on top of it, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. For anybody in mining, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So buckle up.
Once in a
get on your
lifetime opportunity
seatbelt.
that's going to last 10 to 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big one. So,
It's
it's good.
I mean, I'm excited. Let's ride this wave.
Yep, we're ready. We've been preparing. I mean, we will be a 20-year overnight success when it finally really pops.
That's how the best ones go.
Yep.
An overnight success is about 10 years.
Yep, because 2030 will be Burgex's 20-year anniversary.
That's right.
So we're creeping up on that, and that's about when things will reach a boiling point.
Oh, man, we should have a party. That'll be fun.
We will.
Cool. All right.
We will, and if you're lucky, you'll be invited. If you keep watching and subscribe and like and tell your friends and comment. Thanks for watching.